Adam Chris from MyMMANews.com, being joined by Revolt Fighting League featherweight fighter Alex Rios, who took Vincent Totaro on at RFL 3 in Rahway, New Jersey, just a couple days ago, securing his first official MMA win inside of the cage. He walked away with some cash in the process, too. Not a bad way to make your debut, in all honesty. And we're here to talk all about it. I have my guest I got to thank my guest for taking the time. Alex Rios, I appreciate you joining me. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning to you too. And like I said, thank you for having me on. It's truly an honor.
Oh man, the honor is all mine, man. I got to witness some fantastic fighting. I got to witness your debut and you walking away with some cash, like I said. So the pleasure is all me, man. First, like I said, first win inside the cage, and it only took a matter of seconds to get the submission victory. Under a minute and a half. It was a minute and 29 total into the first round. All of that time spent in preparation, man, and just for a matter of moments. So, with all of that being said, how do you feel about your debut win inside of that RFL cage?
Um, I kind of wish it had stayed standing on the feet a little bit more personally. I thought we were gonna stand and bang the whole fight. Because during our match, Vincent was actually like talking to me the whole time, and I was like, oh, I guess like we're gonna slug it out. And then he took me down, and I was like, oh, that's right. Like he's a wrestler, and I completely overlooked that part of the or that aspect of the fight. But yeah.
Were you fully prepared to engage? I mean, like you said, he was trash talking. Were you fully ready? Like, all right, if this is going to be a stand up bat, let's do this.
100%, 100%. I was going in there to stand and bang, which isn't always the best option. My coach is always like before every fight, like we're not brawling today. We're going to be super technical, right? Pick our shots. But then sometimes I get hit with a shot, and I'm like, here we go.
That's it. All you can do, man. So you've had some time to digest the win now. Looking in hindsight, you've competed in kickboxing bouts, jiu-jitsu matches. You've stayed active in the gym, obviously, but nothing it can replicate that actual fight under the bright lights with the crowd going crazy. Your fans are going crazy for you. I mean, can you take us through the nerves of the actual fight opposed to other competition you've taken part in?
Yeah, it's unlike anything I've ever felt. When I do jiu-jitsu competitions or jiu-jitsu super fights, they don't nearly hit the same way. And even kickboxing fights, because with my kickboxing fights that I had, I kind of knew it was going to be standing up, and I like, you kind of know what you're in for. There's With MMA, there's so many ways to lose, right? Like he could have just held me down for 3 rounds if he wanted to, or he could have knocked, and with the small gloves too, could have knocked me out in a couple seconds. So, dealing with all that in the back, like how's he going to fight me? What's the intensity? Like all these things, what if he's, I know he was also a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So I was also dealing with like, man, what if he's a better grappler than me? But you kind of learn to shut those things out as you get closer and closer. And I was also really lucky, like right before I walked out, like at the height of my nervousness, my coach looked at me and he was like, hey, you're good at this. So just go be good at it. And that managed to really calm me down and like get me focused up.
I
Um,
was actually, oh, sorry, go ahead, continue.
uh, when I walk to the cage too, as soon as like my walkout music plays, like my brain shuts off though, I've noticed, and all the nerves go away for everything, even the kickboxing fights and obviously 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So
I
yeah.
was going to say, man, just following on what you just said, I had this question planned for later, but you just kind of segued me right into it. I mean, fans they can go back, they can rewatch the bout in its entirety at StarFund app for themselves, but I'm interested to get the first-hand glimpse of how the fight went through your eyes. Nobody's able to replicate it through the eyes of the fighter themselves. I mean, especially the winning fighter on the edge of the cusp of what you've worked so hard for. So again, you were talking about the nerves hitting everything. Your firsthand perspective from the warm-up, the rules meeting, the cage door closing behind you after the walkout. When did those nerves start to hit? The introduction and then the fight finally happening. I'm sure it seemed like a movie in your head and it just goes, goes, goes. But can you take us through those little moments that the fans, they'll never get to experience? They'll watch it, but they can't take it in from themselves, and they surely can't understand a fighter's perspective or their viewpoint.
Yeah. So when it really hit me was right before weigh-ins. Ozzy, you can see it on his Instagram for RFL. He gave this really awesome speech about fighters and having the most interesting profession, and that we should walk like we are, you know, guys who do the most interesting thing in the world. And that's when when I was like, oh man, I'm about to get into a cage fight again. Like, so I was dealing with that, and then there's time in between and all that, all the like pre-fight medicals. So you kind of get to focus on that task. So the nerves weren't hitting then, but then when the fight started and my friend Lawrence, he was the third fight. When he went out, I was like, oh man, I'm up soon. Like, I got to get ready for this. And I must have paced around in the back for like 45 minutes straight, probably just thinking of all these things. And I watched this video of Sean O'Malley, and he was talking about like his mantras before he walks out. He says things to himself like too sharp, too strong, too fast, too tough. So I would say that to myself to let I think if you believe it, then you can actually then you'll go out there and do it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I was just telling myself these things like too sharp, too strong, too fast to kind of calm those nerves. And there was times I would glimpse Vincent on the other side. And I was like, oh man, he's right there. Like we're about to get into a fight in like 30 minutes. And oh, it was so nerve wracking. But then, I would bring myself back and be like, this is what you're here to do this. You signed up. This is a privilege to be here. Right. Like there's not a lot of people that, on a Saturday are going to go fight a grown man in their underwear. So, you know, go act like you're that guy.
That's it. So
Yeah.
going into the bout itself, man, obviously, just as well as I do, we live in a very social media savvy world where you can look up opponents, reels, their training videos just at the click of a button. So with that said, do you take any time to study your opponents? Do you let your coaches do that? Or do you moreover worry about your game planning? Take us through your approach to fight night.
So when I first get an opponent, I automatically look him up right away, 100%. I'm like, what has he done? What are his credentials? Where did he wrestle? Where does he train? Where did he train before that? Who are his training partners? How did they do in their fights? And then for the whole camp, I don't look at them at all. Uh, yeah, I just so I have like an idea, oh, he's a wrestler, or oh, he's a kickboxer, or if I don't know anything about him, then whatever. But yeah, then for the most of the camp, I focus on what I want to do. Uh, my game plan. I try not to get drawn into other people's fights. I feel like I perform best when I fight my game. So man, I control the action. And then maybe like a day or two before the fight, I'll look him up again and be like, all right, like just to remind myself. But yeah.
Yeah. So fortunately, this is not a pre-fight interview, it's a post-fight interview. So we don't have to worry about giving the game planning away. So like you said, you worry about what you have to do, your game planning. So what
Yeah.
exactly was your game plan going into this bout with Vincent Totaro?
Um, actually, so my game plan was to stay long, fire my jab off a lot. It's something I've been working on so much. As a taller, lanky guy, I think it's a must-have. Uh, my plan was just to fire off my jab, make him nervous on the feet, and then either have him shoot out of desperation or stand and bang with him and just light him up on the feet, whether that's with kicks or punches. Because
Love
yeah.
it. Were you made well, let me say, when were you made aware of the submission of the night performance bonus? And with it being your first bout, how fulfilling is to see the fruits of your hard labor just being rewarded first time into the bout or into the cage?
I was made aware of it actually right after it happened. Ozzy looked over at me and goes, "I think that was submission of the night." And then I was a little hopped up on emotion. I was like, "Yeah, it better be," because which wasn't the most humble answer at the time, but that was just how I was feeling. And then I found out it a couple days ago, and I was like, "Man, that is so cool that it gets recognized." Because like there's hours upon hours in the gym of me just getting smashed by everybody and losing so many rounds and you know, car rides home where I'm like, man, I suck today. And then to have it all be worth it, and know that it was all for something is truly like the most rewarding feeling I've ever felt, to be honest, sometimes. Or well, one of the most rewarding feelings.
Yeah. Awesome. And so well deserved too, man. Even though the bout didn't last long, did Vincent present any threats that maybe you didn't anticipate while game playing? I know you mentioned he was trash talking, you thought it was going to be stand up, but anything that maybe you weren't anticipating that he got in there?
He had really good takedowns. I was expecting like more cage wrestling from him, to be honest. Like debut guy, right? I don't know. He said he's been wrestling all his life, but I thought he was going to try and back me up against the cage and kind of grind his way there. Um, but his takedowns are awesome, super explosive, very, very technical. So shout out to him for that. But that surprised me. Like that first takedown, I was like, oh wow, that was pretty quick.
Continuing on the timing, you didn't sustain much damage in the bout, as it, like I said, it was over in under a minute and a half. So, do you have any immediate plans to get back in there and just keep this ball rolling?
I'm actually fighting next Saturday for MMA Pro League 145 bout MMA. Yeah, I'm right back in. I'm pretty fortunate that I didn't get hurt during my last fight. So I figured, yeah, why not jump in?
Well, then we might as well use this as a dual purpose, a little post-fight and pre-fight. What do you know about your upcoming opponent then?
I know he is a wrestler. I saw his promo on his Instagram, and because I look him up when I find out about him.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's a lifelong wrestler. He seems like a very disciplined guy. He's a bit of an older gentleman. I think he's in his late 30s, early 40s. So I expect him to be tough. You know, a lifelong, just dudes that age just don't bend. You know, like they're iron. So I'm expecting it to be a scrap. Yeah, but wherever he wants to fight me, I'll be there. If he wants to stand and bang, then I'm more than happy to. If he wants to turn into a grappling match, here I am.
I love it. And granted, that a couple weeks ago was your debut bout, highlight reel successful, as we've discussed. But what are some of your long-term goals? As not only a mixed martial arts fighter, but an overall martial artist, long-term in this game? What do you want?
Absolutely. So I would like to be a professional fighter at some point in my life. I think it's a very small group of individuals on the planet that get to do that, and I would like to be a part of that group. And also, I would like to own my own gym one day, because jiu-jitsu and martial arts really changed my life. I was like a super nerd. I'm still a nerdy kid, but like I'm a nerdy kid who can like kind of fight sometimes. So uh, it changed my life. So if I could do that for at least one person, that would make it all worth it. So yeah, just own a gym and just have that be like a safe spot for some people, and just be a good person.
Good deal. Now, before I get into the final question, like I said, we're going to kind of fuse this as you have a fight coming up too. So do you have a bold prediction of how you go 2-0 in just a couple of days?
Man.
We got the first dub under our belt. We got a submission victory. Do we have a bold prediction for bout number 2?
Bold prediction is it ends in a finish. That's as much as I can say. I don't know where, but it's not good. I don't think it's going all 3 rounds.
Leave your options open. I love it. I can dig it. Totally. Just playing on a stoppage. I'm not going to fix on the round. I'm not going to fix on how I do it, but we're going to get the stoppage.
How it happens. Yeah, sorry.
Finally, Alex, where can fans keep up with you on social media for any fight news updates, highlights, and more? You know, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. There's too many to keep up with any more nowadays. So throw them all out there, any that you have, so the fans can keep up with Alex Rios.
Follow me on Instagram at alex.rios30. And that's pretty much the only social media that I use right now. So yeah, that's it. Come follow me.
All right, there he goes, Alex Rios. Alex, it was a pleasure getting to catch up with you. It was a pleasure getting to announce your debut bout, and obviously such a successful bout in its entirety for the minute and a half that it lasted. I wish you nothing but the best of luck going forward, man. Good luck in the next couple of days in your next fight. Hopefully you get to go 2-0. We'll get to catch up in a little bit, maybe a couple of weeks down the road. But until next time, Alex, I wish you nothing but the best, my friend. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. My pleasure. There he goes, Alex Rios. He just took out Vincent Totaro. It went down at RFL 3 at Rahway, New Jersey, just a couple of days ago, and he is not wasting any time to keep the ball rolling as he's getting ready to go into a second bout. And you can catch that in just a couple of days. So for my man, Alex Rios, I am Adam Christ. Make sure you keep it locked to MyMMANews.com for all your fight news needs.